Um,
I wanted to spare you guys.
many, many, many years back, it was a uh-oh. No. You will be sure. Uh-oh. I'm in trouble. Show you a haul? Hi. You want to be on camera? No, whatever. Um,
oh my God, my hair.
oh, here we go. Now, okay. No, I'm good. Uh-oh. No. Oh my God. Seriously? Wait. So what I wanted to do today is hey guys, welcome back to Books Yada Yada. I'm Dina and thank you so much for watching my channel. I'm full on ragamuffin today. Anyway, so I went on a little bit of a haul to various resources and I'm going to share that with you today. So let's get to the books, right? So the first book, I'm going to go to books I picked up at the library. Finally, our libraries in the area are, all of them are open for browsing, which is wonderful because the library is my favorite place to go besides the movie theaters, which are still, some of them are still closed around here. So yeah, so I'm so excited because I went to various libraries. What I do within like a 20-25 mile radius of where I live, not just my local library. We are fortunate enough to have two libraries in our town. And so not only do I venture out and exhaust them both, I also go to various libraries in the area and pick up the books that I'm looking for or not looking for. Some of them just, they call to you, right? Let's go ahead and go over the first one. So some of them I've actually already read, and I'm going to talk about this one, you guys. The Echo Wife by Sarah Gailey. Oh my God, this book blew me away. The only way I can describe it is sort of this Stepford Wives meets iRobot meets some kind of a domestic suspense, sci-fi, mystery-ish semi-thriller. It crosses lots of different genres. Let's just put it that way. So if you like Ira Levin, if you like Neil Gaiman, if you like Margaret Atwood, would be a great example. You would love this book. Let me read the jacket because it's not a long synopsis. It says, Martine is a genetically cloned replica made from Evelyn Caldwell's award-winning research. She's patient and gentle and obedient. She's everything Evelyn swore she'd never be. And she's having an affair with Evelyn's husband. Now the cheating husband is dead, and both Caldwell wives have a mess to clean up. Good thing Evelyn Caldwell is used to getting her hands dirty. Sarah Gailey, what an amazing author, is all I have to say. This book packs quite a punch for being only around like 250 pages, I think. There's so many different emotions that you're kind of on this roller coaster ride with Evelyn, and it gives you all the feels, as the kids say these days. So I'm not going to go on and on about it, but this was a fantastic read. If you can get your hands on it and you like sci-fi, crossing different genre type books, this is the book for you. The Echo Wife, Sarah Gailey. Second book I picked up was a book called The Wife Upstairs by Rachel Hawkins. I've seen this book floating around BookTube and Goodreads and everywhere else. I've seen a lot of different varying reviews on this book. Some people loved it. Some people absolutely hated it. They're saying that it's sort of like, a take on Jane Eyre. I've heard some people say it's sort of like more like Rebecca. I don't know. I'm kind of, I don't know how I'm feeling about domestic suspense these days, you guys, because I'm going to get to that in a minute, but I may or may not read this one. I have heard some really good reviews from people that I respect on BookTube, some BookTube buddies of mine. So maybe I'll give it a shot. Maybe I won't. I don't know. This might get returned and not read at all. I might revisit it later on down the road. Who knows? I'm not in the mood for domestic suspense right now. I was a couple of weeks ago when I took it out of the library, but yeah, I've changed my mind. So when is this due? No, it can't be due already. Now, I thought I was in trouble, but it's due next week. So I probably won't read this one. But anyway, you guys, if you've any of you who've read this book, let me know what you thought about it. Tell me if you think I would like it or if I wouldn't. Again, I'm not really going for the domestic suspenses right now. They're just not cutting it for me. I just read one called The Perfect Marriage, and I'm gonna or insert a picture of it. I hated this book. I hate I hate to get ranty. Some people loved this book. Some people hated it just as much as I did. It was one of those domestic suspenses that keeps getting compared to Gone Girl. I can't stand that, you guys. I don't know if you're like me, but everything that gets compared to Gone Girl is just, they're I don't know why they do that to authors. They shouldn't be doing that to authors. They're setting them up for, this colossal size sort of shoe to fill, and the books just don't end up. But the books just they don't end up, being the next Gone Girl. So I just publishers stop putting that on books. It's so aggravating. Anyway, so and then another one I picked up is called The Mere Wife. This one I have not read yet. I'm actually saving this because I kind of have a TBR this month, but not really. So, but this one was the most fascinating to me. And my daughter actually and I were at the library together, and she grabbed this one off the shelf for me. She's like, "Mom, you are going to love this book," after she read the jacket. So she handed it to me, and I read it. And of course, there's a Neil Gaiman blurb inside the jacket that gives a great recommendation for this book. And he says, Maria Davhana Headley, who is the author of The Mere Wife, is a firecracker. She's whip smart with a heart and writes like a dream. So that is Neil Gaiman, who you guys know I'm a huge, huge Neil Gaiman fan. He's one of my favorite authors, and anything he recommends, I'm going to read. So this one I'm definitely going to read. It is a sort of modern day adaptation on Beowulf, which I thought was really cool. And I'm just going to read you the very first sentence. Says, "The Mere Wife turns the epic tale of Beowulf on its head, recasting the classic into contemporary American suburbia and telling it from the perspective of the presumed monsters, Grendel and his mother." So I cannot wait to read this. When I do, be sure you will be hearing my thoughts on this one. All right, next up, Badax County by John Galligan. Yeah, this is the first in a series. This is I'm not sure exactly what the series is called. I believe it's called the Badax County series. But basically, this is like set in Wisconsin in like dairy farm land, and it's sort of like set around this whole town and county that is just filled with dairy farms. And so I've never read a book that was like a crime thriller that is set in and around dairy farms. So there's this sort of like farming community vibe that's interwoven into this murder that takes place, this sort of human trafficking that's going on. And then our main protagonist is a female sheriff. She's new to the job, and she's trying to figure out what happened to her parents. There is a conspiracy. She believes there was a conspiracy that led the police to believe that, or claim that their murders were a suicide pact. So she's still trying to unravel that. And that's what happens in this book. So there's basically like two different mysteries going on simultaneously. Really great characters, really gritty, tough, dark. John Galligan does a great job of painting this picture of this Badax County, this place that, I mean, I would never want to go there. I'm sorry if you live in Wisconsin, but if this place actually exists, and I don't know if it does or if it's fictional, it's a place I would never want to visit, that's for sure, because it sounds cold. This kind of had like a Fargo feeling to it, even though it's not set in the Dakotas. It just felt like Fargo. It felt like something out of Fargo, but it was very good, you guys. And if you're into police procedurals or crime fiction thrillers, I would highly suggest this one. I was very impressed by this, and there was a second book in this series, so I'll probably be reading that. Okay, so those are the books that I got from the library. Then I did a little NetGalley haul. So from NetGalley, I got an advanced audiobook of The Plot by Hanff Korelitz. I'm always trying to make sure I pronounce her name correctly. She wrote a book called You Should Have Known. Now, if you guys remember, I did a video a while back in November, I think it was, somewhere around there, and I reviewed that book. What had happened was they took that book and they adapted it to a HBO series called The Undoing, starring Nicole Kidman and Hugh Grant. The Undoing was fantastic. I was glued to every episode of that. I had read the book after realizing that it was sitting on my shelves for quite a long time and didn't realize that the Undoing was actually an adaptation of You Should Have Known. So I ended up reading You Should Have Known finally after all of those years, because it was published in 2013, I want to say. And I hated the book. I hated it. I hadn't even finished the series, The Undoing, yet until realizing that, which this is just my opinion, of course, personally, I enjoyed the series much more than I enjoyed the book. I did not like the book at all. I'm not going to go into it with that book, but I am going to go into it with The Plot. This book was amazing. I gave it 5 stars, you guys. It's one of the few books so far this year that I've given 5 stars. I'm going to tell you something right now. It doesn't release until May 11th. I wanted to make sure that I talked about this book in this video because of the fact that once it comes out and you guys can get your hands on it, you have to read this book, especially for those of you who are writers, who are aspiring writers, those of you who are readers, who love to read books about the literary world, the publishing world, what goes on inside of it. What happens to a writer when they are obsessed and they're plagued with paranoia?
Hey guys. So, as per usual, I started rambling on about how much I loved the book before I actually described the plot of the plot. So, I thought I would just take you into Goodreads and read you a review of one of my Goodreads friends did a fantastic review of this book, and I'm just going to read her review because she said it way better than I possibly could. So this is Lori. She gave it 4 stars, and she says, "This book has got to be the best one I've read that deals with the process of writing, authors, and the publishing industry. Although I'm not an aspiring writer, I do freelance work for a company and have been told too many times to count that I should write a book. Although the main character, I'm going to get rid of the mouse right here. Although the main character often says anybody can be a writer, I have read or attempted to read too many books that prove the opposite. Jake Fincher, or Finch Bonner, rather, it's the main character, is a writer who met with success by making the new and noteworthy column of the New York Times with his first novel. Unfortunately, his second and third attempts were not as successful, so he turned to teaching at a third-rate MFA program. One of his students, Evan Parker, an arrogant jerk, has a self-proclaimed sure thing, whose plot he shares with Jake. Jake agrees it's a certain hit. As time passes, but the book fails to be published, a curious Jake finds out that Evan has died and has left the door open for Jake to appropriate the plot. Life for Jake changes on a dime. His book is everything he thought it would be, #1 on the New York Times bestseller list, and movie rights optioned with an A-list director. Life could not be better. That is until he receives an email saying he's a thief. The attacks continue to be more specific and more public and set Jake on the path of discovering who is behind these attacks. This is a great suspense thriller. The pacing is good, the story original, and the insights into writers and writing are enlightening. I did figure out early on who was behind the attacks, but how the story unfolded kept me reading." So that was Lori's review. I felt like it was just perfect. She wrapped everything up really nicely. And so I just wanted to share with you guys what the book is actually about, because I went right into my spiel on what I liked about the book, but didn't explain it. Now we'll go into how I felt about the book.
What I loved about this book, you guys, is we have this obsessed writer, I'm an obsessed reader, and it takes you into this downward spiral with him. Because I read these different reviews and the synopsis, you can gather that most people so far, all the feedback that this book has garnered has been extremely positive. So you have some very big names that have given this book a lot of positive blurbs. All I'm going to say is read it, you guys. It was so good. It was one of those books that I will remember. It reminded me a lot of Secret History by Donna Tartt. It just had that kind of feel to it. I think you could consider it as being part of the dark academia world. Another thing I loved about this is that Korelitz does not leave the mystery part. Like, she doesn't make that make it a big deal. The twist is not something that you kind of see where it's going. So if you read this book and you start kind of figuring out who the antagonist is, right? It's okay. Stick with it. Don't worry, because that isn't the whole total sum of what this book is. You are still in it completely because you're sucked in and you're absorbed and you just want to see what happens to Jacob. You want to figure out what is going on, who's doing what. And even though you might figure out who it is early on, and I think most people probably will, that isn't really the point of the book. It's more the obsession and the paranoia that can plague a writer when they are just trying to create something original. So again, those of you who are into dark academia or are writers, you're going to love this book. Or obsessed readers like myself, you will love this book. I could not rave about it enough, but I'm not going to spend 20 minutes talking about this one book because I have to talk about the other books that I got. Another book that I got in my Netflix, or not in my NetGalley haul was a cozy mystery called Digging for Trouble. This book is the first book in the, I'm going off the top of my head. I don't have my laptop in front of me, you guys. In the Sweet Fiction mystery series, this book won't release until October, I believe. So I'm not going to talk about it too much. But as far as cozy mysteries go, I love my cozy mysteries, and this one was great. I'll talk about that one maybe when it comes time for it to release. But Digging for Trouble by Kitt Crowe was another one. It was really, really good. Another God, I keep saying Netflix. And the last one I'm actually currently reading right now from NetGalley is called The Last House on Needless Street by Karina. Oh, God. By Karina something. I'm going to post a picture of it in here. I forgot what her last name was. But anyway, this book, you guys, I'm about almost finished with it. I'm like 70% into this book. It is, holy moly. It's definitely going to get a 5-star if it ends. If it ends like I think it's going to, or ends well. It's a great horror thriller, crazy train. I can't think of the words right now, but this book has so much psychologically going on. It's definitely a psychological thriller. It is fantastic, you guys. This doesn't actually release until I think September, because September is like pregame, right? For Halloween, right? Getting into Spooktober. So again, I won't talk about it too much. So many different things going on with this book. It's freaky. So I think I'm going to talk about that book before it releases, but it's a good one. And if you guys are on NetGalley and you can get a hold of it before they archive it, I would highly suggest it. If you really are into Bentley Little or Stephen King, of course, you will like The Last House on Needless Street. So, all right, so that was my NetGalley haul. And then I did, also these are library hauls as well. Murder at the Taffy Shop, Cozies, Murder at the Taffy Shop for Cozies by Maddie Day. This is the second book in the Cozy Capers murder series, Cozy Capers mystery series. A Cozy Capers book group mystery. That's got a longer series title. This is the second book in that series. I read the first one, which was Murder on Cape Cod, and talked about that one. I'll post the cards above in the Cozy series, a Cozy video that I did. And so I haven't read this one yet, but I will be soon. I hope it's just as good as the first one. And then, last but not least, Crime and Poetry. Yes, isn't that a great title? Crime and Poetry by Amanda Flower. This is a first book in the magical bookshop mystery series, and this one was fantastic. Again, I'm getting into my cozies. I'm finding new cozy mystery authors, and had seen a interview with Amanda Flower on one of my booktube buddies. Check her channel out. She's the Beach Bum Bookworm. Her name is Tiffany. She's awesome. Her channel is exclusively devoted to cozy mysteries and romance, I believe. But she actually did an interview with Amanda Flower, and I'm really glad that I watched it because it turned me onto this series, and I thoroughly enjoyed this book. If you guys love your cozies, this is a great one to get into. You've got a woman who moves back to her town in upstate New York called Cascade Springs, I believe, and she has an aunt who owns a magical bookshop. Of course, you know, you have a body drop and all that good stuff that happens in cozy mysteries, and is reluctant, but becomes an armchair sleuth and tries to solve the murder on her own, right? I'm not going to go on and on about it. Those of you who read cozies might know about this one already, but it was really good, and I'm definitely going to be reading the rest of this series for sure. That is it, you guys. I always feel like there's more. I always feel like there's another book that I haven't discussed. Anyway, so stay tuned for my interview with Libby Klein coming up here shortly on May 16th. Sunday, May 16th at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's going to be a hoot, I believe. I hope. But please do stay tuned for that, and tune in if you can, if you have the time, and it'll be live. So I want you guys to ask, help me out, you know, ask tons of questions. Oh, but anyway, so that's it for today, you guys. Have an awesome rest of your day, and I will see you the next time.